Sometimes a photo is more than just a moment caught on camera. It's something that doesn't sit right. Not because it's scary or dramatic, but because something inside it feels unfinished. The people, the place, the quiet details that don't make sense. These aren't conspiracy theories or ghost stories dressed up as facts. These are real photos, real places, and real people. And yet, somehow, the full story never shows up. So join us for today's video as we're going to take a look at 15 historical photos that have mysterious backstories. And trust us, you won't want to miss it. Let's start off this list with number 15. The Lady of the Dunes. Her body was found in the dunes near Provincetown, Massachusetts, during the summer of 1975. There were no signs of a struggle nearby, just a lifeless figure face down in the sand. She was dressed in jeans and a blue bandana. Her hands had been removed, her teeth pulled, and her cause of death was a blow to the head. Police were left with no name, no family, and no reason. For decades, she was called the Lady of the Dunes. Then, someone noticed something pretty strange. A woman in the background of a scene in the film Jaws, shot in the same area just weeks before the body was found. She wore the same clothes. Her face looked eerily familiar. No one could confirm the connection. And while DNA finally identified her as Ruth Marie Terry in 2022, no one could explain how she ended up in the sand or who wanted her gone. Her story remains open, quietly unsettling, even with a name finally attached. Number 14. The Amityville Ghost Boy. The photograph was taken inside the Amityville house during a paranormal investigation. The camera had been set to operate automatically, capturing frames at intervals in a hallway where no people were supposed to be. When the film was developed, one image stood out badly. A cute child stood just outside a doorway, half hidden by shadow, with wide, pale eyes and a stare that didn't belong in an empty house. Investigators insisted no children were present at the time, and no one recognized the boy's face. Some thought he resembled one of the murdered DeFeo children, whose body had been found in that very room 2 years earlier. Others claimed it was just an accidental double exposure or a mistaken adult caught at the wrong moment. Despite those theories, no definitive answer has ever been given. The boy in the photograph has never been identified. The image continues to circulate, not as proof, not as evidence, but as something left behind that no one's ever been able to explain with certainty. What do you think about it? Number 13. The Solway Firth Spaceman. It was supposed to be a simple family photograph. Jim Templeton took his daughter to Burgh Marsh in northern England, a quiet stretch of grass and sky near the Solway Firth. He asked her to sit for a picture. The wind was calm, the sky wide open, but when the film was developed, something unexpected appeared behind her. A white figure standing tall, facing slightly away. It looked like someone in a spacesuit. Jim swore no one had been there. The area was empty. Kodak examined the negative and verified it hadn't been tampered with. Over the years, some suggested it was just his wife, photographed from behind, her hair and dress overexposed by the sun. But the angle and shape never quite matched. The figure seemed to float slightly off balance, disconnected from the rest of the image. Despite the theories, no one's ever explained the moment in a way that feels entirely right. It remains one of those rare photos where even the ordinary refuses to stay that way. Number 12. The Cooper Family Photo. Well, actually, this picture looks harmless at first. A family gathered around a dinner table, smiles, celebration, a simple memory being preserved. But in the corner of the frame, just above the dining room table, there's something that doesn't belong. A figure appears to be falling from the ceiling, upside down, with limbs frozen mid-descent. There's no blur, no sign of movement, just a shape suspended above a family that hasn't noticed it yet. The photograph came to light years later, reportedly taken in Texas during the 1950s, and passed down through relatives who could never quite explain what they were seeing. Some believe it was an accident of exposure, a double image caused by old film. Others are convinced it captured something more disturbing. The exact origin of the photo has been difficult to confirm. The location, the date, and even the identity of the people in the photo have all been debated. But the figure remains a motionless shape caught in a moment that shouldn't include it, yet somehow always does. Number 11. The time-traveling hipster. It was just a crowd scene. The reopening of the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia drew plenty of attention. People showed up in the coats, hats, and dresses of the time. But one man didn't seem to fit. In the middle of the group, someone stood wearing what looked like a zip-up hoodie, a printed shirt, and dark sunglasses. His clothes weren't wrong by much, but they weren't from 1941 either. The photo isn't questioned in terms of authenticity. It's been verified, published, and studied. People have offered explanations, most pointing to similar clothing items that could have existed then. But none of them explain the whole picture. Not the way he looked, not how everyone around him feels like they belong to one moment, and he doesn't. The photo keeps circulating, not because people believe he came from the future, but because no one has completely made him belong to the past. He's still standing there, in the middle of that crowd, quietly out of place. Number 10. Freddie Jackson's Sets. Ghost. It was a group photo meant to honor a squadron of air mechanics. Everyone stood in formation, uniforms pressed, eyes fixed forward. But after the picture was developed, one extra face appeared behind a man in the back row. He wasn't listed, wasn't there that day, and no one remembered seeing him during the shoot. But they recognized him. His name was Freddie Jackson, and he had died 2 days earlier in an accident involving a plane propeller. His funeral had taken place hours before the photograph was taken. The men in the squadron believed it was Freddie. No one else had a reason to be there, and his appearance wasn't vague or blurred, it was sharp, like he had simply stepped into place at the last second. The photo was never altered. It's been published, archived, and debated, but not dismissed. Those who knew him said it made sense. Freddie wouldn't have wanted to miss a group photo even if he was already gone. Number 9. The Hinterkaifeck crime scene. On a quiet farm in Germany, 6 people were murdered with a pickaxe. The bodies were stacked neatly in the barn, partially covered with hay. The killer stayed at the farm for days afterward, feeding livestock, cooking meals, and leaving lights on at night. Aerial photos and crime scene images were taken, and one of them, a wide shot of the property, shows the bleak stillness of the place. There's no figure, no obvious threat, just something about the emptiness that feels wrong. The case was never solved. Tracks had been seen in the snow, leading to the farm, but none leading away. Multiple suspects were investigated, all cleared. Over 100 people were questioned. The murder weapon was found hidden in the attic. Years later, the photo doesn't show blood or violence. It shows absence. An entire family was wiped out, and silence stayed behind long after. Every time someone looks at that picture, the same question returns: how did no one see who did this? Number 8. The Hook Island Sea Monster. A photograph taken off the coast of Hook Island in Queensland shows something massive in the water. It stretches out like a giant eel or an overgrown tadpole, black and thick, with eyes that seem to peer upward. The family who took the photo had been exploring the area when they spotted it beneath the surface. They described it as motionless at first, then slowly moving before it disappeared into deeper water. The image caught the attention quickly. Marine biologists, skeptics, and cryptozoologists. Some claimed it was a school of fish, others called it a hoax made with fabric. The negative was examined and showed no signs of manipulation. To this day, no solid explanation has held up. The shape doesn't match any known sea animal. The depth, clarity, and scale of the creature in the photo still baffle people. Whatever it was real enough for the family to leave the area in a hurry. The sea kept it secret, as it often does. Number 7. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. There's a photograph taken during a World War II memorial service showing a small boy standing alone in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier. He's not with a group, and no one's guiding him. He's just there, arm raised in a salute that's too precise for his age. The image was published and passed around during wartime as a symbol of loyalty and national pride. But over the years, questions started building. No one could find a record of who the boy was. His face wasn't recognized, and there was no official documentation tied to his appearance that day. Some believed he was placed there for the photo, but others who were present said he walked forward on his own, breaking from a nearby crowd. He stayed for a minute, saluted in silence, and then walked away. That single image was all that remained. It's still shown today, but the boy's name never came forward. The photo stands, but the story behind it never did. Number 6. The Hesteland Lights. In a quiet Norwegian valley, strange lights began to appear in the sky during the early 1980s. Locals had seen them before, but now they were being photographed. Long streaks of white and yellow, hovering low over the hills or darting through the trees. Sometimes they pulsed, other times they held still for minutes at a time. Residents knew they weren't planes, they weren't stars, and they weren't anything people could easily explain. Scientists showed up with equipment. The lights didn't stop. They kept showing up, sometimes several times a night. Photos were taken, radar picked them up, and even thermal imaging confirmed movement. But despite decades of observation, no clear answer ever came. There were theories, of course: natural gas, electrical phenomena, experimental aircraft, but none of them fit every sighting. The Hesteland lights still show up now and then, though less frequently. Every time they do, cameras point up again, just like they did 40 years ago, still waiting for something to make sense. Number 5. The Man from Tard. Well, everyone knows the story of this man. At a Tokyo airport in the summer of 1954, a man handed over his passport during routine customs. It looked legitimate. Stamps, dates, even a country seal, but the country listed didn't exist. He said he was from Tard, located between France and Spain. He was confident, fluent in multiple languages, and had currency from several countries in his wallet. The Japanese officials were confused. They held him for questioning and placed him in a hotel under guard. Overnight, he vanished. His documents, his clothes, and even his identification were gone. The room's door hadn't been opened. No sign of forced entry. The story spread fast, but the man was never found. There are no surviving photographs tied directly to him, though rumors claim airport documentation exists. If that photo is real, it's never been made public. Some believe the story is just an urban legend, but it's never been completely dismissed. It sits in the margins between fact and fiction, still passed around, still unexplained. Number 4. The Babushka Lady. In the chaos of Dealey Plaza, as shots rang out and the crowd scattered, one woman stayed steady. She held a camera to her face, filming as President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. She wore a headscarf, similar to the kind worn by older Eastern European women, and was later nicknamed the Babushka Lady. She appears clearly in multiple photographs, always facing the action, always recording. But her footage has never surfaced. Dozens of witnesses came forward, but she didn't. The FBI and other agencies asked the public for information, yet no reliable identification was ever confirmed. Years later, a woman named Beverly Oliver claimed she was the one behind the camera. Her story had gaps, and her camera model didn't exist in 1963. Investigators never verified her account. The woman in the scarf remains one of the last unknown elements of that day, a figure standing calmly at the center of one of the most recorded moments in American history, filming something no one else has ever seen. Number 3. Unidentified woman on the SS Watertown. 2 American sailors died during a routine voyage and were buried at sea. Days later, the crew began reporting faces appearing in the waves, not just shadows or tricks of light, actual human faces, clear and staring upward. The ship's captain ordered a photograph to be taken. When the film was developed, one image showed what the crew described: two distinct faces just beneath the surface, floating in the dark water, as if suspended. The shipping company verified the photo and included it in the official logs. Nothing in the negative appeared altered, the image circulated widely, but no one could give it a clear explanation. It didn't match any natural phenomenon. No weather conditions, sea life, or camera malfunction fit what they captured, and the fact that it was taken under supervision made it hard to dismiss. The ship continued its journey. The faces never returned. The photo, though, remains quiet and unsettling, a still moment where something seemed to follow them even after burial. Can you solve this mystery? Let us know. Number 2. The Ghost of Boot Hill Graveyard. A tourist in Tombstone, Arizona, posed for a photo near one of the old wooden graves. His wife snapped the picture with a standard film camera. Nothing seemed strange at the time. When the photo was developed, a figure appeared behind him, tall, dressed in old Western gear, partially transparent, crouched slightly, with his face turned away. The man who was photographed swore no one had been near him. No staff in costume, no other visitors standing behind him. The figure's body doesn't line up with the angle or depth of the background. Experts examined the image and found no signs of tampering. It didn't match double exposure or light leak patterns. The grave marker near where the figure stood belonged to someone executed in the 1880s. Whether that's connected or not, no one knows. The photo still gets passed around by researchers and skeptics alike. People visit the spot hoping to see something similar, but they find nothing. Number 1. The Burning Monk. In the middle of a busy Saigon street, a Buddhist monk named Thich Huanj He climbed out of a car and calmly sat down on the pavement. He crossed his legs, straightened his back, and waited as another monk poured gasoline over him. Then, he struck a match. Flames rose around him instantly, and within seconds they consumed his entire body. What made the moment unbearable to watch and impossible to forget was the way he remained completely still. His posture never changed. His face held no sign of pain or fear. He was protesting the South Vietnamese government's brutal treatment of Buddhist citizens. Malcolm Browne's photograph of the moment traveled across the world within days. It wasn't the first act of protest, but it became one of the most unforgettable. No explanation has ever been able to fully make sense of his composure. How a man could burn without moving, without making a sound, remains one of the most haunting questions left behind by this image. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.